Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Arjun. Thunderbolts is now out in theaters, and this is a movie I have been very excited for. So in this video, I'm going to share my thoughts on the movie. Now, the MCU hasn't exactly been in the best state as of late. They haven't really put out many great movies. Obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine came out last year, but that was good for its own reasons. It has a gimmick, the multiverse, Wolverine, the X-Men stuff going on in it. So it has other stuff going on. It's not really a focused MCU movie. And obviously the last one we got, Captain America Brave New World, that wasn't all that great. So, because of all of that, the MCU is just in a really awkward place right now, and Thunderbolts is the movie that they decide to put out next. And I've been excited for this movie ever since they announced it, because I think a lot of the characters that are in the movie I actually really like. Because of the lineup that they assembled, for Thunderbolts, I was really interested to see what this movie was going to be about. And I also thought it had potential to be something like Guardians of the Galaxy or the Suicide Squad, which are like kind of like a fun ragtag group of heroes that aren't exactly the Avengers or a big team like the Justice League or anything. They're just their own kind of self-contained team. And I think because of that, I was really interested to see what this movie was going to be about and how they actually end up making it work. And because I was so excited for it, I really wanted it to be good. Everyone was telling me, well, I don't know why you're so excited for this movie. People were honestly hating on me because this was my third most anticipated movie of the year. My most anticipated was Mickey 17, which I thought was kind of disappointing. And then the second most anticipated movie of the year was Hurry Up Tomorrow, which is the new movie coming out, which is surrounding The Weekend. And I'm excited for that for different reasons. That's just because I'm a big Weekend fan. And then my third one was Thunderbolts. I'm more excited for it than Superman, than any other movie coming out this year, Fantastic Four and all of that, which most people think is kind of crazy. But to me, it just makes sense. This is like the only MCU movie or any superhero movie that I think looks really, really promising. I'm excited for Superman too, but I think this just looked really good. Now, before I share my thoughts on the movie, let me know down in the comments, what did you guys think of Thunderbolts if you've seen it? And how excited were you to watch it? I would love to know your thoughts, because if you're someone that was like a little bit in the camp that was more hesitant about this movie, I'd love to know your thoughts too, because I was just so excited for it. And after watching it, I have to say, it really lived up to my expectations. I'm so glad this movie was good, because if it wasn't good, I was just going to be really sad. And honestly, I probably would have given up on the MCU, because I'm not really looking forward to anything anymore. Daredevil was something I was really excited for, the show, and it ended up being a little bit of a mixed bag for me. I really enjoyed it for the most part, but after this, really, the only thing I'm looking forward to is Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. And if this wasn't good, and if we're not really getting any setup for those two movies, I don't really know if I was going to be super excited for it either. I still would have watched them, obviously, but I'm not really looking forward to anything after this. But after watching Thunderbolts, honestly, this really just brought back my energy back for the MCU, because Captain America Brave New World, that was very disappointing. Even though I did enjoy aspects of that movie, I do like that it was trying to tie some of the loose ends in the MCU together. I think this movie does a lot better of a job of that, actually. I think this movie just does a great job of being a good movie, but also being just a good MCU movie, a movie that like ties different things together and kind of makes you think that you know where this is going. And I appreciate that. Obviously, you have to talk about the team here. You have these random characters that are introduced in random movies, and how are they going to make this work? And I think they just did a really good job. Yelena is in a way a lead of the movie. I think Yelena and Bob are like the two main characters of the movie, and I think they're both fantastic. I can't say much about Bob to the nature of his character because I'd be spoiling, but I think he just does a great job here. Louis Pullman is the actor's name. I think he just did a fantastic job. I thought he was a lot younger than he actually was. He's 32, I think, but in the movie, I thought he was like in his mid-20s or something like that. So it was interesting to see him in this movie, just fantastic. I really loved him in this role, and I think they do a really great job with the emotional aspects of his character as well. Then Yelena is our other lead, like I said, and I think she's fantastic. Florence Pugh has really proved that she can now lead these big movies, I think, because Black Widow, she was a scene stealer. I think whenever she was in that movie, she was one of the best parts of it. And in this movie, she's basically the main character in a sense, and I think she did a fantastic job here. She has those emotional aspects to her character because of the trauma she went through in the Red Room and being a Black Widow and losing her sister now and all that stuff. I think was really great. So you can connect to her character while also kind of following her through this journey of us recruiting all these Thunderbolts characters and all that. I also love Red Guardian. I think his relationship with Yelena makes everything a lot more fun. David Harbour just does a great job in the role because he's really funny, he's really energetic and entertaining, and he also brings like a lighthearted vibe to the movie, which I think it required because this movie is surprisingly very dark and heavy. I think Wyatt Russell as US Agent was great. He kind of has that douchebag energy that you kind of want from him when you see him in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but you can still connect to him as a character because in that show, he was still a good person. I actually really love him in that show. I think he's one of the best aspects of it. He's a good person. He just does really stupid things sometimes or goes down the wrong path. And I think you see that in this movie where he seems like an asshole. He seems like an obvious guy that could be a bad guy, but he's able to pull his shit together when he needs to and be a good person, be a hero. And I think you see that in this movie a lot. Ghost and Taskmaster are fine, I guess. I don't really care much about them. And I don't know, I don't really have much to say about them. I think they were not really a major part of the movie, so it kind of is what it is. But I think the team dynamic in general just worked really well when they came together in the movie and just became a team. And like, I think it works really well the way it played out because it felt a little frustrating because at first you're like, where is this going? How is this going to work? How are these random people going to work together? But I think it works really well when they do, because it just kind of makes sense. The movie is very self-contained. It takes place in about a day, and it's because it's so self-contained, it's not very complicated. It's a very simple story, and you're just following our characters throughout. And because you like all of them, you're able to watch them kind of bond together, become a team, and help people out in the third act and stuff like that. And I think that was really good. And like I said, this movie is very dark and emotional. And the reason for that is a lot of the movie deals with things like mental health and depression and loneliness, and how all of these characters have trauma that they went through in their lives, and things have happened to them that's really bad that has led to them to be at the points that they are. A lot of them are assassins, and they're killing people, and they hate that about themselves. And I really appreciate how the movie is able to bring that into the forefront and talk about how they regret all the things that they've done, especially with Yelena. She's like, basically her entire life is regret. She grew up killing people. She grew up being an assassin, and now she's an assassin again. She's working for Valentina, and she has to kill people on the job. And I think stuff like that is just what makes this movie so good, with the exploration of regret, depression, loss. It really feels like a major aspect of the movie, which I was really surprised by, because it feels like an MCU movie that's actually exploring a deeper theme than just this massive superhero story. I forgot to talk about Bucky. I also really like Bucky in this movie. He feels kind of like the mentor character for all of them, because he's someone that has been through that dark time in his life, and he's trying to overcome it. And he's, in a sense, already has. He's now the congressman and stuff like that. So he has kind of overcome that, and I appreciate that he's able to be almost a heroic figure to the rest of the Thunderbolts, because the rest of them, they don't have their shit together at all. But him, he's figured his life out. He knows where he's going from here, and he wants to be a hero, and he's trying to get these guys to join him and basically save the day. And I really appreciate how he was kind of the mentor character in this movie. And it really does make sense. It feels like he's the leader of the group, even if he's not the main character. Like I said, Bob and Yelena feel like they're the main characters, while he feels more like a leader of the team. And I really appreciated that. A lot of this movie is also just practical. A lot of them are practical action sequences. You see things being thrown around and stuff that they did practically without much CGI. And I think that was really good. The practical action scenes in this movie were really well done. And even though there's no giant set piece that I think stands out a crazy amount, every action scene is consistently good. You see there's moments that are thrilling, that really impact really well. There's a lot of chase scenes in the first half of the movie, and then in the second half you get actual action scenes, and you get heroes saving people in this movie, which I have really missed in the MCU, because a lot of them, when you have these giant battles and stuff like that, they don't focus on saving a single person. This movie has a lot of that, especially in the third act, and I really appreciated that that was a major focal point in this movie, because that's something that a lot of superhero movies nowadays just kind of lose. The movie also has a very distinct style. Obviously, it got marketed a little bit as like an A24 movie, which I thought was very interesting. That trailer was really cool. It's not an A24 movie. You can't really take it to that extent, but it has elements that are kind of inspired by that, especially as you go into the third act. The third act of the movie is very psychological. It's a lot. It's very weird. It's almost uncanny to see something like that in an MCU movie, because you'd expect like a big giant boss fight or something like that. But because these are characters that don't really have any superpowers, most of them, the threat they're faced up against is a lot stronger than them. So it leads to a really like a mental battle in a sense. And I think the final battle was, in a way, one of the best aspects of the movie, because it's able to bring out a more emotional aspect of the story, which is followed throughout the whole movie. We're talking about how these characters are losers, how they suck, how they've lived miserable lives, and they regret everything that they've ever done. And you get to this third act where they have to overcome that, and I think that was really well done. It felt emotional, it felt real, it felt like something you would actually connect to, and I really loved that about this movie, that it was able to bring that theme of loneliness and kind of make it work through this team of characters, which I think is what made it different from Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, because they're both also obviously ragtag teams of people, but this felt like, I think the Guardians of the Galaxy has always felt like a family, because like they're losers from different planets and that got thrown out. This feels different because it's really focused on what they regret. In Guardians of the Galaxy, you know what they are as characters, but this, it's really digging deep into their psyche, and I appreciated that a lot more than I thought I would, because I didn't think that was honestly going to be a part of the movie. There's parts of the movie where I really got emotional too because of that, which was very surprising to me, because I just didn't expect that going into this. I knew it was going to be fun, but not as deep as it actually was. Like I said, the movie has a very stylistic feel to it too. The visuals, it feels really grounded and gritty, and it looks really cool. It's one of the best looking MCU films in a long time. It looks like an actual movie, and I really like that. I think the score was fantastic, especially as you go into the third act. The third act, they really locked in. The score was insane, because you're watching this like psychological thing take place on screen, and then the score is just making it really intense, and I love that. I like that the third act was not conventional, and I think the music helped with that a lot, and the music was just really good throughout the whole movie. I just think in the third act it was very memorable, because the third act was just so unique compared to most superhero movies. There's also a post-credit scene at the very end, and the post-credit scene, I think, kind of set up the future of the MCU in a really interesting way. I'm not sure how I feel about certain things that are done at the end of this movie. I think I like it. I like it as a endpoint for this movie, and I think it's going to be very interesting moving forward in the MCU. When you watch Fantastic Four, when you watch Avengers, what that means and how this is going to progress in the future. I just don't know how I feel about it in the moment, because it's like I don't understand what they're gonna do in the next few movies to explain what actually happened. I can't get into it because it's obviously spoilers, but the post-credit scene is really good, and I think it felt like a classic MCU movie post-credit scene, where it's like, it's a really good movie, really fun, sets up something interesting, and then the post-credit scene is like, oh, I see where this is going. And I like that. I like that this movie did that, because it felt like it was actually leading somewhere. Now, does the movie have its fair share of issues? I'd say so. I think the pacing is a little off, especially in the middle of the movie. I think some things are kind of rushed, especially with Bob's character and what happens in the middle of the movie. I think it felt a little bit rushed, but I think it's okay, because I think the movie does a good enough job explaining his character that you can see why what happens actually happens. But I do think certain things could have spent more time on certain things to make it work a little bit better. That doesn't change the fact that I think this movie is absolutely fantastic. I still love this movie, and it is probably one of the best MCU movies since Endgame. I don't know because I can't really compare this to Deadpool and Wolverine and Spider-Man No Way Home, because I think this is easily a better movie than both of those. But those are good for different reasons. Those are like really interesting cinematic experiences. That's what makes them fun. So it's hard to compare it to something like that. But all the other, I think it's probably better than all the other MCU movies since then. Other than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that movie is fantastic. So yeah, I really loved this movie, and as someone that's really excited for it, I'm glad I loved it, because if I was disappointed by it, I was gonna be very sad, because this was a movie I've been defending for almost 2 years now. I don't know how long it's been since they announced it, but when they announced it, I was so down for it, and I'm just glad it turned out as good as it did. For my score, I'm gonna give Thunderbolts an 85%. At the moment, it's my second favorite movie of the year. It's really good. I loved this movie, and it just made me really happy. I think over time I might even like it more. I might increase my score, because I've only seen it once, and I don't know how I feel about, like I said, certain things that happen at the end of the movie. But overall, I loved this movie. It made me really happy. Like, and when I was in the theater, I was low-key like just jumping up and down in my seat, because there were moments that just made me so happy. And especially as you get to the end of it, it felt like an actual really, really good MCU movie. This feels like an MCU movie that would have came out around the Phase 2, Phase 3 era, where it's like, not everyone would be going crazy about it, but they'd really like it. Something like Avengers Age of Ultron. I think that's around the time it would have came out, if it did. It really feels like old MCU, classic MCU, with like a theme, a message, a darker, maybe even more so, I think, than a lot of the older MCU movies. So I really loved this movie. I'm so glad it was good, because I would have been so disappointed if it wasn't. It's like I said, it was my third most anticipated movie of this whole year. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on Thunderbolts. I definitely want to do like a more spoiler-filled review in the future, so I could talk about more of the specifics of it. But I loved this movie. I'm so happy it was good. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think of Thunderbolts if you've seen it? And if you haven't yet, go watch it. It's really one of the best MCU movies in a very long time. So I definitely think you should check it out. If you enjoyed my review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I'll also leave links to my other social media in the description, so go follow me on there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.